Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. So I didn't think I was going to need to talk about this, but I'm putting a lot together, and I'm hearing from patients and listeners where many people have been very, very elated about the inauguration and about the new president, that many of you have told me you are ready to go off your antidepressant. Now, at first I thought a lot of this was a joke, but apparently many people did post-COVID, either from COVID or during the Biden administration, feel the need to be treated for their depression and their anxiety. And even though some of the country is upset about Trump winning, there's a lot of people that have been pretty euphoric. And this euphoria is making them think, why am I taking my antidepressant anymore? And so there's a good many of you thinking, okay, maybe I could go off of it. Please be careful. Please be careful. Okay, you have to wean off your antidepressant. It should be medically supervised. And also, politics are politics. And now I get the last 4 years have been very, very strenuous. Post-COVID, the vaccines, the show me your papers. What if I don't want the vaccine? I can't go to school. I can't go to work. I can't go and see a Raiders game if I don't show I got vaccinated. Then, there's long COVID. Then there was the supply chain crisis, the economy, high gas prices, eggs are expensive, not to mention all the politics and BS, crime. And then our candidate, or one of our candidates ends up getting almost assassinated. It's been very stressful. But you need to identify what exactly it was that might have affected you. There's a lot of individuals that did not have to go on antidepressants during the Biden administration. Why is that? And they didn't like Biden, and they didn't like what he was doing. So what is it that you were addressing medically? Was it that you weren't sleeping well? Was it the changes? Was it the worry about your future? And so the last 48 hours for many individuals have been very, very euphoric. But as a medical provider, and I've gone through every election with patients where they are either depressed or they're elated. It's politics. Politics is going to mar every presidency. Look how many of us were really excited about Doge. And it's already undergoing changes. Vivek Ramaswamy is leaving. I knew that Vivek and Elon Musk, you got two very powerful alpha males. Who's going to want to get credit? So I was wondering how they would find balance. And Vivek wants to run for Ohio governor and, whatever. So, and then Doge is going to be dealing with some lawsuits. So whatever you thought in your mind, was going to happen in terms of, and a very exciting concept to the Trump presidency is already undergoing changes. There's going to be midterms coming up. For those of you who supported Trump but work for the federal government, there's now hiring freezes. And there might be some elimination of some of your departments. So if you were fearful of your job or job security during the Biden administration, that might still persist in the Trump administration. Mind you, a lot of people are very optimistic and excited, but prices are still going to be high. It's going to take a while for him to get prices down. The EV mandate was causing pressure, a lot of stress. Trump, from what I understand, reversed it. But we will eventually be going electric. I hope we ensure battery safety and fire control a lot better, and make sure our power grid and its infrastructure is strong before we do any ridiculous mandates. And I don't like mandates. I think it all should be choice. But if you think all your stresses are going to go away this week, don't misinterpret this euphoria you might be feeling. And so, my question was, to anybody who was thinking about going off their antidepressant, what was going on to make you need to go on it in the first place? Was it a loss of a loved one? Was it a loss of a job? Was it a marriage that was struggling? Because these stressors can still happen. Now, let's say it was very stressful and you think you've managed it. You think your depression's in remission. Well, it depends on the antidepressant you're on. I always opt for a slow wean. I tell patients to do a slow wean. So let's say, for example, you've been taking sertraline or Zoloft 100 milligrams. And if you quit that cold turkey, how these SSRIs work, these selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors work, is they inhibit the reuptake of that neurotransmitter or that hormone. And then your body will start to make more receptors as a compensatory mechanism. So now if you have more of these garbage receptacles or receptors and you take away that 100 milligrams, now, boom, all your serotonin or your neurotransmitters get sucked in and you could hit some really, really heavy lows. So for somebody who is on, let's say, sertraline 100, and I'm not a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists might have a better way, but what I would do with my patients is if they were taking 100 milligrams, then this week, take half of one of those on one of the days, but the rest of the day still 100. So you'll be doing 100, 100, 150, 100, 100, 100, 100. And then, so of those 7 days, one day is now going to be a half dose. Then the next week, 2 of those days could be a half dose, maybe Monday and Friday, with the rest of them still being your 100. So by week 7, you have now gone from 100 milligrams down to 50 milligrams a day in a slower wean. Then from 50, you go to 25. So next week, only one day is 25 with the rest 50. Then 2 days are 25. So then in 7 weeks, now you're down to 25 milligrams. If you're still doing well and you're not rebounding, now you could go to, okay, well, the next week, one day, no 25. The next day, or the next week, 2. And so to wean from that could be 21 weeks. But it's a slow wean, and we don't see a rebound. Talk to your medical provider about that. But also, like I said, you need to identify what are your triggers and what are issues that are making you depressed or causing anxiety, because those things may still pop up in the future, but there might be a better way to manage them if you don't want to be medically managed. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So Timothy writes, why don't more doctors suggest protein bars? That's interesting. I rarely tell people to go and get protein bars. Not that I'm anti-protein bars, but a lot of people don't do that. I'm sure there's doctors that do. And I think the reason why I don't tell people to go get a protein bar is because I'm usually encourage them to eat a balanced diet. Many protein bars have a lot of calories. They may have a lot of sugar. I had one parent bring in her teenage son because he had horrible gas and horrible bloating. And I asked, and she thought he was having, major gallbladder issues or whatever. And I go, do you do any protein bars or protein shakes? And the mom says, no. And he goes, well, actually, yes, I do. And the mom's like, what? He's like, yeah, with our team. I have protein shakes at school all the time. And I say, for poops and giggles, okay, no pun intended, try stopping that for a week and seeing what happens. And boom, this problem's resolved. And so because I have so many patients who have gas and bloating and other issues, I've probably been not reluctant. It's just it hasn't really been something that I've urged because I don't have a lot of younger individuals who are nutritionally deficient from a calorie standpoint. Now, do I recommend Glucerna and Boost and things like that for older individuals who might be struggling to keep up their nutrition because they have loss of appetite? Absolutely. I will definitely recommend some of these shakes or drinks, also because there's fluid in them. But I think protein bars do have a role. It's just usually the majority of people using them are healthy already. Some people like to use it as a pre-workout boost. Some want to up their protein without eating fatty meats. And so would a protein bar be a good way to help lose weight? If you're using that as your lunch and it's fewer calories than a burger and fries, yes, you can lose weight. However, if you want to lose weight long term, you really should be training yourself to eat a salad for lunch. And so I don't tell people to go on a protein bar diet because I don't want a diet short term. I want you to be able to lose your weight long term and keep your weight off. And I just don't know if I could recommend you being on a product that has a lot of chemicals in them, because they do have chemicals and ingredients and preservatives, as a meal supplement. I don't think, meal supplements per se work for everybody. Also, some of these have milk-derived ingredients or other things. I'm looking at a really interesting site. It's from New York Post. And it's an article talking about the 16 best nutritionist-backed protein bars that they tested for every diet. And they look at each bar like Quest bars, the cookies and cream, are good for low carbs. They have high protein count, 21 grams. They're budget friendly, but they contain milk. So if you have to avoid milk, that might not work. For some of you, you need gluten-free. And some of these bars might have gluten. Luckily, the packaging is supposed to tell you. But some of these bars, like, is it called Perfect? The Perfect bar? They say that has a very high calorie load. There's Think Minis. These are also small, but they do have high calories. Aloha bars. I wonder if those are artificial sweetener free. That's good, because that's another thing I don't like. I don't like artificial sweeteners in some of these bars. And so feeling full is what a lot of people are using these bars for. But here's the thing. If you're struggling to lose weight, what exactly is causing your weight gain? Is it you see, like I was watching football. Congratulations to Ohio State, by the way. You're watching football, and then all of a sudden there's these commercials for big burgers. And I've had people tell me, despite them being on Ozempic or doing their diet, if they feel like they didn't eat a burger, they don't feel like they had lunch. And then their brain is telling them they skipped lunch. And so a lot of our hunger and appetite is very mental, psychological. And I've had people tell me, they'll have a protein bar, but then 2 hours later they need lunch. Well, if lunch prevented you from needing to eat for 4 or 5 hours until dinner, then that protein bar was extra calories. Now, one thing that I think needs to be encouraged is this getting rid of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and instead eating something every 2 to 3 hours, something small. A lot of the diets, especially the older diets, talked about eating 9 to 10 times a day. I don't recommend that. But the reason why those diets were successful is because babies will want to feed every 2 to 3 hours. If you tell a baby, nope, supper's not for another 2-3 hours, they get hypoglycemic, they're crying, they're yelling. Well, did we really change from a baby to an adult? Or do we every 2-3 hours feel like we need a little bit of a boost? So why not at 6 a.m. have some orange juice and avocado toast? Then at 9 to 10 o'clock, maybe a protein bar. At 1 to 2, some celery sticks, carrots, maybe some hummus. And then between 3 and 5, a salad, sandwich. And if you really feel like you need to eat after 5, then maybe 6, 7 o'clock, you could have maybe a chicken breast, piece of salmon. You'll feel full if you do that. And so I think some people are using those protein bars for that. They think, well, I'll eat less of a dinner if I eat a protein bar a couple hours before. It just, keep in mind, there's chemicals, there's preservatives in these things. There's a lot of calories, there's fat, and also your body might not digest it. I was really concerned when, that student wasn't the only one who had gas. There's a lot of my patients who say they're very, very gassy. And I have to stop and ask, do you use protein supplements? So why would something give you gas? Well, if your body isn't digesting it properly. If it's not easy to digest, you will get gas and bloating. Now, fiber is harder to digest, and that helps you go. And sometimes it will increase your gas in the short term. But in the long term, if you have a high fiber diet, your gas and your pains and all that might go down because you're frequently stooling, so you don't have the extra pressure. I want to apologize if I haven't been talking about brands of protein bars and all those other things. I think there is a place. I just don't know if I would, always swap out a well-balanced meal for a protein bar. You know, I'd rather you put a celery stick in your mouth or a piece of broccoli. But I get it. You want something sweet. You want to get some nuts. And that is always, you know, you are getting some nuts. And I think nuts are great. But a lot of these nuts are very sticky because of that sheath they use. And to make a bar of that shape, there has to be something that coalesces. And so I do think for some people it does affect them. Now, the RX bar has egg whites, almonds, cashews, dates, no BS. These are interesting. I like the simple ingredients. And so my recommendation would be the simpler the ingredients, the less preservatives, the better. But these things do get expensive. And, you know, you're not getting your vegetables. And I think every meal should have a fruit and vegetable. Remember, you need 5 to 9 fruits and vegetables. You know, interesting. Chinese researchers were looking at Ozempic and what is a natural alternative to Ozempic. And they think they found one way to fight sugar cravings and metabolic disorders is a gut microbe called Bacteroides vulgatus. And they think this particular bacteria in the gut plays a pivotal role in regulating sugar cravings. And they believe it acts like glucagon-like peptide hormone, which is what these drugs, Ozempic, do. They're agonists for GLP-1. And so figuring out how these things work and what microbiome, then when you do take a probiotic, you know, like they supplemented mice, diabetic mice with this B. vulgaris bacteria, and it actually caused their blood sugars to normalize and them to crave food less. So we're working on it, but we need to look at more natural sources of things that are healthy and safe. 1-877-Doc-Dali.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
So that girl I met on eHarmony.
Yeah.
We're out to dinner last night, and like a klutz, I tipped my drink all over myself.
Oh, no.
And it's all down my shirt. A horrible stain. So embarrassing. And you'll never guess.
What?
She smiles, picks up her drink, spills it all over her top. So now we're...
No way.
Amazing, right?
At eHarmony, you'll find someone you can be yourself with. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up for eHarmony today.
We're back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOC-DALI. So one thing that has kind of been very intriguing and odd are these robberies on NFL stars when they are away from their homes at away games. And I think Travis Kelce got robbed. Patrick Mahomes got robbed. Joe Burrows got robbed. And there were some rumors that this was done by, let's say, a gang or a circuit of illegal immigrants. Well, we're being told that 4 Chilean nationals have reportedly been arrested in connection with the recent burglary of Joe Burrow's $7.5 million home. His Ohio mansion was ransacked back in December. It plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. And the authorities have detained 4 men over the incident. According to TMZ and Daily Mail, the cops reportedly claimed they were illegally in the country or overstayed their permissions. And they were found with LSU and Bengals gear, which is suspected to have been taken from Joe Burrow. And so, the men are Alexander Chavez, Bastian Morales, Jordan Sanchez, and Sergio Cabello. Apparently, they were taken into custody on January 10th following a traffic stop in Ohio. Now, and so, they're doing court, I think, next week, facing, I'm not sure what charges yet, but, this is one of a number of examples of how we have enough crime already in this country. We don't need more. And if you are here illegally and you're committing a crime, okay, we need to have a much better set of laws. Fascinatingly, the Lake and Riley Act has passed the Senate. This happened yesterday. It was probably one of the first acts of the newer Senate after Trump was inaugurated, where the Senate passed the Lake and Riley Act on Monday. In fact, 12 Democrats joined the Republicans to vote for this. It's going to mandate the detention of more undocumented immigrants charged with crimes. It hasn't been passed to the point where Trump could sign it. It goes to the House first. But the Senate vote was 64-35, which is a good sign that it would probably pass to the House. Now, the House passed a similar bill, not identical, earlier this month. They're going to take up the measure later this week, either later today or tomorrow, and then it will go to President Donald Trump's desk. And so a lot of Democratic senators backed it, including Nevada's Catherine Cortez Masto, Jackie Rosen, John Fetterman backed it, Ruben Gallego, Maggie Hassan, Mark Kelly, John Ossoff, Gary Peters, Alyssa Slotkin, Mark Warner, and Raphael Warnock of Georgia. So this Lake and Riley Act is named after the 22-year-old nurse who was killed by an undocumented immigrant while she was jogging on campus in Georgia last year. The Department of Homeland Security has discretion to detain only undocumented immigrants accused of serious crimes like rape, domestic violence, murder, and some drug offenses. The bill would institute a mandatory requirement to detain those charged with smaller crimes. Now, why? Why did that change have to be made? Well, because the person who murdered Laken Riley had a shoplifting charge and a rap sheet that included burglary, minor theft, and larceny. So people want to know why these illegal immigrants who have a rap sheet are still being let loose into our country. Well, they didn't murder anybody. And I'm not saying, everybody can have that potential to murder somebody. But you first of all, you're not even supposed to be here illegally. Second of all, illegally with a rap sheet. So the Lake and Riley Act makes that starts to hone that in. In fact, Senators John Cornyn and Joni Ernst expanded the list of crimes to include those charged with assault of a law enforcement officer and causing death or seriously bodily injury to another person. It also gives the green light to state governments to sue the federal government over certain immigration decisions and alleged failures. State attorney generals could file lawsuits to have specific immigrants detained or to stop the issuance of visas to immigrants from countries that won't accept deportees. So it starts to give a little bit more power to the states in terms of if somebody did get through. Because remember, millions got through and then went to multiple cities that were sanctuary cities. And now what can states do if they have criminals in their city? Like, look at Trinidad in Colorado. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And so, our safety is paramount. And we also, don't want to. America is known for it being a safe haven for refugees and for immigrants that need to come here. And I'm a daughter of an immigrant. But you're ruining the system if you're not sticking to the system. If the system has a path for legal and that's not followed, it's illegal. And then they tried to change it to undocumented migrants or undocumented immigrants. Look, if you're not doing it legally, it's illegal. But because the border was porous and Biden tied the hands of Border Patrol where they couldn't just say, go back to the other side of the wall was stopped being built. Now we have all these other definitions. And look, I don't think anybody wants to see, young kids who have been here now for 4 years, sent back to a place that's ridden with crime. A lot of individuals fled cartel-run areas to come here. We get that. But there needs to be a process that they follow. And if they cut the line, there has to be then a different path for them. Because those that are in line and did it right should get priority. We want to encourage people to be on I was on the freeway today and there was some backup of traffic and somebody decided to cheat where they got behind, or they were behind me, decided to leave the few cars behind me, go to the side, stop in the middle of the road, put on their clicker, their turn signal to try to get in higher up in the line. And somebody lets them in. Well, then I was looking at other cars like, well, I could do that too. And the more that happens, you just stay in one place. Well, then, immigrants wanting to go the legal route will say, well, looks like the only way to get in is illegal. So the only way to do this is to do it wrong. No, we have a right way to do it. We have a way for there to be refugee status. We have a way, for people to be safe. But if our courts are overwhelmed and court dates aren't for 2-3 years and people aren't showing up, they're here illegally. And if we don't have enough, if they don't, Ellis Island, you couldn't come here if you were sick. You couldn't come here if you didn't have a sponsor, if you didn't already have a job. If individuals don't have a job or anything set up, then they have to rely on welfare or they have to rely on government money. Or they use our hospitals, and now these hospitals are at risk of going under. As I think it was Denver Health needed millions infused by the federal government just to keep themselves open. That's a problem. We want to be there for everybody, but we have a very poor hospital infrastructure. We don't have people paying their bill. In fact, Biden decided to erase medical debt. So, and I understand why that's very popular. Why should you pay your medical bills if illegal immigrants don't have to? But if nobody's paying, then that hospital goes under, or that doctor goes under, or that, it costs a lot of money to run a medical clinic. So if people aren't paying their bills, that's why I eventually closed. People couldn't pay their bills. It was the recession that was going on way into 2016. It did not end in 2009, as everybody tries to now change history. It went well into the recession, and people couldn't pay their bills. So I probably only had a year left of money to try to keep it open. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center may not be available in all states.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa Welcome Bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Oh, yeah. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So, as feared, more wildfires have sprung up, now getting closer to San Diego. In fact, in San Diego County, I'm being told there are 3 active wildfires. They're small, but they have already prompted evacuation orders, school closures, power shutoffs. Still in L.A., they're on high alert because of strong winds, as the Santa Ana winds as expected. We're going to be picking up. And so crews overnight had to respond to 3 small brush fires in northern San Diego County. The Lilac Fire, which was the largest of the blazes, grew to 80 acres. This had to trigger evacuations in Bonsall, which is a small community about 45 minutes north of San Diego. The fires are to the east of like Oceanside and so they're north of San Diego, and in the hills to the east of it, but in San Diego County. The fire displaced 86 residents, damaged 2 structures. It was about 10% contained as of a few hours ago. The Pala fire was north of the city of Pala Mesa. That burned about 17 acres and is still going. Firefighters were able to stop the forward progress of the blaze. Evacuation orders have been lifted. There's another brush fire called the Riverview Fire. That luckily only burned 1 acre of land before firefighters were able to stop it. So we don't know the origins of the blazes. They erupted, while there were hurricane force winds. Hurricane force is anything over 74 miles per hour. They clocked in some of the wind gusts in the San Diego mountains around 102 mile per hour winds. In the meantime, LA County firefighters are still fighting the deadly wildfires. They have made progress, though. From what I understand, the fires are not 100% contained. They're still going, but they are not spreading. That has drastically slowed down. The death toll is right now at 27 people. Still, we have many more that are missing. Over 10,000 structures have been destroyed. The Palisades and Eaton fires might still spread because of the heavy winds. So firefighters are making gains. God bless them. This has been going on since the 7th. But in the meantime, San Diego County did close schools. The Bonsall, the Julian Union, Mountain Empire, Spencer Valley, and Warner Unified. to play it safe. I think what really shocked people is, we read about these natural disasters. We read about things that happen. And in our minds, we're like, well, that was in the past. They weren't prepared. They didn't know, they weren't, we're seeing right now people who are homeless. And, we've spoken about this. If anybody said, look, you have only a minute to evacuate, get out now, what would you grab? Do you have a ready to go bag? When I was pregnant, we had a ready to go bag, ready to go. But, most of us don't, we don't know where a social security card is. We don't know where our birth certificates are. I think the fireproof safes are good, but some of them might not be as fireproof, especially if it's next to a garage that has an electric vehicle. I don't think the average person is prepared or understand the gravity of the situation. And what's going on in California has now elicited and highlighted how it doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter what your net worth is. You could become homeless in a heartbeat and not have access to all your prized possessions, or lose your life in a heartbeat from a wildfire. I've always kind of, held a grudge on how my family left California because I loved it so much, and I would have never left. And I'm like, why did we do this? And I didn't understand until later. It's because they couldn't afford. It was so much cheaper to move to Phoenix, Arizona. But I'm like, we could have been here. We could have gotten a home. We could have lived in this beautiful, California is exquisite. And I was born in California. I still feel like it's home every time I go there. And I'm there multiple times a year. Still feel like it's home. I have family there, friends there. But if, it's so lush and so green, because I love trees and I love snow and I love water. And then I understand it doesn't snow necessarily in LA, but I just love, the seasons. If I could be in Northern California, oh my gosh, those forests are exquisite. But living in a forest means you're at risk. And you're at risk of losing your home or being caught up in a wildfire. And these things happen every year. In medical school, my biochem professor was Chuck Dryling. And he told us that the wildfires that had broken out in the 90s, one of his good friends was displaced and had to live with them. And luckily they had a big enough house, so the family lived with them for months until they could start to rebuild. But what people don't understand is it's not going to be months for these individuals to rebuild. Because of over 10,000 structures, I don't see it being under 3 to 5 years. In fact, I'm hearing there's a lot of stars in Las Vegas right now, probably looking for homes and looking for places to live temporarily. Because if you lost your home, one, it's not going to be rebuilt exactly the way you like it. It's going to have new architecture. There's new zones. Many of these people had homes that were their childhood homes. So those were old style, less earthquake proof. And so, yeah, they might get a bigger and better home. But if an insurance company gives them a check, that's not going to cover all the excess pricing and all the new sorts of construction and permits and zoning and everything else. And even if Governor Newsom, does offer them there to be some reprieve, to find a contractor now and an architect, they're going to be charging top dollar. And even if you say, well, you can't charge top dollar, right now everything is at top dollar. So whatever you think your house was worth, if you try to get it built now with lumber and all that, and then furniture, you're not going to, it's going to be way more expensive, not to mention who's available to do it. And then if you are able to get back into your home, do you really want to be around all that construction and dust and debris and asbestos? I think the average person who lost their home is saying, I'm out of here. And they're going to go somewhere else. And I think they're going to go to neighboring states, especially if they're working remotely. And especially if they're not a federal worker or a government worker who now has to come back home. So we're not prepared. And in 2025, it should have been common sense to have all your reservoirs filled, that all fire hydrants should be working, that people be told what to do with their electric vehicles and get them as far away from home or wildfire risk as possible because those suckers are impossible to extinguish. And nobody was even, they were sleeping on the job. One was at a cocktail party overseas. And it's scary. And so this reminds us that at any time we are vulnerable. And people always fault the preppers. Oh, that person has a mental illness. They're hoarding. And I get it. There's people that live in absolute filth because they don't throw anything out because they're afraid they're going to need it. And we've talked about that, and we'll talk about that again. I think it'll be good to kind of review tips on what to do if you are a hoarder and to go through that thinking. But you can't take everything with you when you have to evacuate. So you're hoarding for something that you might not be able to save. And we're very unprepared. And if somebody is a prepper, let's say, I don't blame them. I admire the preppers because I do think the poop hits the fan. I think power does go out. I think earthquakes do happen. Hurricanes happen. Natural disasters happen. And if somebody is prepping, I think that's good. I think it's a great idea to have a fifth wheel or a camper or a trailer if you have to get out of Dodge. A lot of us have pets. If you can't bring your pets to a motel, you could throw them all in the trailer. Things to think about. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
So that girl I met on eHarmony.
Yeah.
We're out to dinner last night, and like a klutz, I tipped my drink all over myself.
Oh, no.
And it's all down my shirt. A horrible stain. So embarrassing. And you'll never guess.
What?
She smiles, picks up her drink, spills it all over her top. So now we're...
No way.
Amazing, right?
At eHarmony, you'll find someone you can be yourself with. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up for eHarmony today.